It's good to see all you guys.
Yeah.
It really is. Just what Clay was alluding to. I got back from Turkey about 2 weeks ago with my daughter, Elena. We went to meet a team there. How many of y'all heard of Frontiers, the agency Frontiers? They focus exclusively on Muslims, and we had some contact with these folks through email. They invited us to come over. They're in Ankara. It's 3 families that have been serving together for about 10 years in several Muslim nations. So we got on the ground with them and just really learned about the country, which I found out I didn't really know much about. In the capital, Ankara, they have about 3 million people and 400 believers for the whole city. I mean, I've got that many in my neighborhood, you know. And if you divide the nation in half, East Turkey has about 35 million people and 20 workers for the gospel. And I've got that many in my neighborhood, you know, as well. So it's really a nation where there's been, as best we could tell, very little effective gospel witness. Although there have been a number of missionaries that have gone there with real devotion and focus, and it's just been a hard egg to crack. You know, but as you know from the news, Islam is really shaking right now. There's some major things happening in the Islamic nations. We feel like it's a real possibility God might call us there to join these guys. But we had an opportunity to meet with some Muslim people, a couple of more secular Muslims that are been in the capital. They said they felt like the nation had about 5 years to decide whether it was going to go radical Islam or not. They'd either come under Sharia or they wouldn't. But it was becoming a real issue for the nation. So we just had our eyes open to the harvest, you know, to the fact that God really loves the other son of Abraham, you know, Ishmael. And, you know, there's a lot of focus in the Christian community on praying for Israel, which I absolutely believe in. That's right and should go on. But we often kind of forget the other son. You know, we're real suspicious of Muslims, and, you know, we wonder what that gal's doing in food line under the burqa, what she's strategizing. She's just comparing carrots to potatoes, you know, she's not doing anything. But what we fear, we're not able to love. You know, what we're suspicious of, we will lack compassion for. And the Lord's really been, you know, challenging our family to love Ishmael. You know, there are a lot of people in Islam, they do not like Al-Qaeda. You know, they don't want the radicals speaking for them. It's kind of like, if you've ever watched Larry King Live, the guy gets on there and is going to explain what Christianity is, and he talks for 2 minutes. You go, wait a minute, unplug his mic. That's not it. That's not what I believe. You know, Muslims feel the same way. They hear the radicals of the Taliban making statements, they go, that's not us. You know, so there's a number of them that really are open to the gospel, and this trip, just in a nutshell, opened our eyes up to the fact that God does want to reach these people. So, amen.
Great job.
God is moving.
Yes.
Hey, Miss Mitchell. Good morning. That's my friend, Mrs. Mitchell.
Hi, Miss Mitchell. Hey, welcome.
And because you're my friend and you came today, I get some donuts afterwards. I get a special treat. So glad you made it today. Be blessed. Amen.
Amen.
God is moving. God is good. He's working. Even when you don't see it, He's working. And His will is being done in the earth. We live in exciting times because we get to be a part of it.
Yes.
There are rough times, but the church always thrives when tribulation comes. When the church has to dig in, and when the world is crumbling, we get to be a light in a dark place.
Yeah.
So let's turn to the book of Ephesians this morning. I want to just tell you about a dream that I had, and I've mentioned it several times, but I want to use it as a beginning to this. Because, you know, we want to, as leadership, we want to be leading people in the way that we feel like God is moving and God is doing. You know, when we were at this conference in Mexico, we were challenged by Daniel Moser, all the people were challenged, to have like a mission statement, so to speak, or a vision or a goal. And I think there's, I always kind of just half-heartedly poke fun at that, I hear these 5-year goals and things like that, and I get, that just blows me away because I'm still trying to plan like Tuesday, what's going to happen Tuesday. But one thing that comforts me is that God always gives us what we need when we need it. If we're open, if we're diligent, if we're seeking Him, seek ye first the kingdom of God, His righteousness. We have priorities as disciples. We're not to seek other things first. We're to seek Him. We're not even to seek good things first, godly things first. We're to seek God. And so, and if we do that, if we put Him first, He takes care of those things that occupy a lot of our time, that occupy a lot of our worry. In these days that we're coming into, it says men's heart will fail them for fear. Well, if you ever go out and talk to the public, I don't mean just people but if you ever talk to strangers, you'll find out that there's a lot of fear out there. And I don't know about you, I'm kind of a shy person, but I enjoy people. I enjoy just how complex people are. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Bring them all on. I really do. It's always a teaching thing when you begin to share with somebody. So this dream, I felt gave purpose, gave a goal, so to speak, or a direction. And in the dream, it was very simple. I saw this 3-legged stool, 3 legs, and each leg represented something, and I knew what it was immediately, and that's why I knew this was from the Lord. It was not something I conjured up. It wasn't something that, because I had roast beef the night before, I had these weird dreams, because I hardly ever remember my dreams. Hardly ever. Once in a great while. But this dream was very vivid, it was very clear. And one of the legs was the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is critical in these days, that we walk in the fear of the Lord. When you begin to, and when I say fear, well, what do I mean by that? Some people take the extremes to that, and I think all the extremes are right. Fear can mean cowering in the corner for fear. When I was a boy, I did some wrong things. Sometimes they were by accident. But my dad taught me fear. I feared my dad. I pulled all the plugs out of a lawn one time. A man had put in Zoysia plugs, hundreds of them. I pulled every one out, thinking it was fun. When he came home, that man, he was yelling through the neighborhood. You could hear his voice echoing, "I'm going to kill the person that did this and their dad." I had fear. Should we fear God like that? Most people would say, no, we shouldn't. Well, I want to tell you, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
Yes.
If you want to be a Christian and think you're going to play around with sin, you better fear. That's a fearful thing. Moses said, I do exceedingly quake in fear when he saw the glory of God being manifest. I mean, yeah, there is that side of it. There is part of that keeps me doing what's right. Because the Lord chastens those whom He loves. And He scourges every son whom He receives. I don't want to be chastened. I mean, I know it's a proof of His love, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to have it. One time, my boy got in trouble and he knew he was in trouble, and he just walked right onto the bedroom and dropped his drawers. He knew where this was leading. And I've drilled it into his head through brainwashing. I said, you know why I give you these whippings, right? Because you love me, Daddy. So, earlier in my children's life, really early, I love them a lot. Just encourage, just encourage your parents. When your dad says it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you, they're lying. They're lying. So, but you see in Malachi, when the fear of the Lord begins to wane out of a group of God's people, you see what begins to happen. Think of Malachi. What were some of the wrongs that happened in the book of Malachi? Can you remember any? I know you've all read probably Malachi before.